Hi, my name is Catherine Wilson, and this is my final project for the EDU 6200 course. I am a teacher at Mount Jordan Middle School, which is located in Sandy, Utah. We have approximately 941 students that attend our school. Out of these students, 85 of them are considered ELL. So this equates to 9% of our population being considered ELL. We have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students that attend our school. I teach ACC, so I have a pretty unique classroom. I have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students all in one class, and they stay with me for the majority of the day, and I teach all core subjects. In addition to this, I also teach 2 reading classes. I have 25 students all together, 9 of whom are ELL, so this equates to 36% of my students being considered or qualifying as ELL. In addition, most of my students also receive speech services outside of my classroom with the SLP. My first student, his native language is Spanish. He speaks Spanish at home and then often translates materials for his parents. His WIDA score overall was a 3.3. He is currently in my 6th grade reading class. Some strengths in this piece are his writing fluency and then his spelling of sight words. He struggles when spelling words that are non-phonetically pronounced words and then also with past tense verbs. This is his piece that he completed for me. I'll read the first little bit to you. What I learned about the video is to never judge people with disability because it is rude. The people that have disability, and if you are rude to them, they will feel bad. People that I think that how people treat Carly or other people that have disabilities is that some people treat Carly good and other people make fun of her or some people be rude to her. If you would like to reread that or read the rest of the writing, you can pause the video now. All right, so one of the things I noticed is that the words that were less common, not typically sight words that you would see in everyday writing, had a higher rate of spelling errors. These words all were of a higher lexile, and they were also not spelled the same as their phonetic pronunciation. The examples I picked out were judge, learned, beginning, and then disability or disabilities. A possible reason for the student spelling errors is Spanish is much more based on phonetic pronunciation when spelling written words. English has more words with irregular spelling patterns. My examples were cough and dough, 2 words that are spelled very similarly but have very different pronunciations from each other. Another possible cause was differing sounds among consonants in English versus Spanish. The student also often used present tense verbs where past tense verbs should have been used, and then in the one sentence that should have contained a present tense verb, a past tense verb was used instead. So this was pretty interesting to me. Some possible analysis or reasons for this is Spanish conjugates verbs differently than English, and then I speak a little bit of Spanish, and conjugating past tense Spanish verbs is by far the hardest thing in Spanish for me, so it made sense to me that this student would struggle with the opposite. Spanish has 2 past tense conjugations, whereas English only has the 1. My second student, his first language is Russian. His family speaks Russian at home, and I couldn't get his WIDA scores. His strength is his vocabulary, which you will soon see. Some weaknesses that he has in his speech is grammar and sentence structure. So these are some statements that he also often makes to me. Penguin, eat your soul, which he intends to tell me that a penguin is going to eat my soul. He says this quite frequently to me. Also, his use of the phrase anti-hero avenger, he uses that phrase a lot. Today he told me that my jokes were oversaturated and old. So he said this as oversaturated old joke. Yeah. So Russian has stress patterns that are different from English. So Russian speakers use a falling intonation instead of a rising intonation when they're asking questions. So when he asked me the question, it is forgery attempt, I actually didn't understand that it was a question until he repeated it and then said, yes, No? So that was kind of a new experience for me. Russian also omits auxiliary verbs, and then they have a lack of copulas and articles, which is very apparent in his speech. My third and final student, his first language is Chuckese. Mom and Dad both speak this at home, and sorry, I'm saying Chuckese wrong. His WIDA scores overall were 1.8. The interesting thing to me about his WIDA score was that his writing was actually higher than his speaking score. I don't see that often. Some strengths are his ability to apply phonetics. In addition, he also has a pretty good knowledge of English pronunciations. Some weaknesses that he struggles with are reading fluency, his reading comprehension, and then irregular English words. So Chuckese, relies heavily on phonetics. They have an inconsistent, if no spelling system at all, which was pretty interesting. They are a vowel-based language, and they lack academic type words, which was pretty interesting to me as well. So academic or scientific type words just don't exist in their language, which was pretty unique. They also have a super unique numbering system that was pretty interesting to me. Instead of numbering things as we do using a common group of words for numbers, they actually categorize things into their number system. So if you had something that was long, you would use a different numbering system or vocabulary than if you had an object that was short and you wanted to number that. So that was pretty unique to me. So my student samples, can I not just do it but get a good grade? And then look at my color fur socks, he also told me. So look at my color fur socks. Chuckese is based on vowel sounds. Native Chuckese speakers can often struggle with consonant sounds in English, which could explain the fur instead of the full. Student then repeated the same statement to himself, trying to correct himself by repeating color fur, color fur. You could see that he was trying to figure out what was wrong with the sound, so he definitely had a higher realization of what it should sound like and what it did sound like when he said it. So these are my examples. Thanks so much for watching my video.